tonight, I want to hopefully help you get through that hurdle of what it looks like to spend time with Jesus, what it looks like to have a relationship with him outside of church. Because, can I tell you this? God never intended this to be the only time that you hang out with him. This, 418, Sunday morning, this was supposed to be when you go and you gather. It's supposed to be like Thanksgiving. You know what I'm saying? Like Thanksgiving dinner. How many guys like Thanksgiving dinner? And the whole family's around and everybody's laughing and you're having a good time and you're eating good food and all that kind of stuff. It's like that. This is supposed to be like Thanksgiving where the whole family gets together and we worship God and we praise God together. And it's amazing. It's fun. It's awesome. But you are supposed to have a relationship with God on your own, one-on-one. And so what does that look like? See, Paul wrote to, I want to say it was the Philippians. We'll just go with it. He wrote to somebody, and he said to them that Jesus went to the cross, and the reason why he was willing to go and die on the cross was because there was something ahead of him that he was really, really, really looking forward to. You guys ever have one of those moments you're like, okay, I will do this. Your brother's like, listen, if you get A's, we'll go to Disneyland. If you get A's, I will get you this. If you do this on your time, I will get you this. And you're like, I'm willing to endure this so I can get that. Anybody ever had that one? That's what Jesus was thinking. He goes, I will go through being beaten, through being whipped, through being mocked, through being just torn apart, shredded. I will die for this one thing that I know is going to just, this is the epitome of what I want. And he goes, it's you. It's you. Jesus is going, the highest thing that I could possibly want on this earth in eternity ever is a relationship with you. That's why Jesus went to the cross. That's why he was willing to die. He was so excited about you. Jesus was pumped up about you. I don't know if you can just fathom this. Sometimes it's hard for us to really think about it. God, Jesus comes down to earth, and the whole time he's down here for 33 years. And I can only imagine for 33 years, he's just like, okay, one day it's coming, it's going to happen, we're going to see it. And all of a sudden, he dies on the cross. He rises from the grave. He raises from the grave. And all of a sudden, he's like, yes, it's possible now. I can have relationship with them again. And then he was like, 2000's coming. They're going to be born. 99's coming. I can't believe you guys are born in like 99s and whatnot. This is craziness. 2004's coming. You're going to be born. Like God is like pumped about you being born. He's pumped about you coming to 418 because at some point you're going to say, yes, Jesus, I choose you. And he goes, yes, it was all worth it. You were worth it to be in relationship with you. But it was never meant to be confined to a building. And so what I want to do is I want to help you out real quick with what it looks like, why we spend time with God, what that looks like outside of church, okay? You guys with me? You guys going to take some notes? Jesus loves people who take notes. I'm not sure if, no, I'm just kidding. You guys okay? You guys are all right? Hi. Yeah, I don't know, I'm talking to you. Yeah. Hi. Yeah, what's your name? Cole? Nice to meet you. Glad you're here. Exodus chapter 33. I hope you brought your Bibles. If you didn't, come on. Exodus 33. This is talking about Moses. Everybody heard of Moses? Okay, he built an ark and everything. Just kidding. Moses, part of the Red Sea. He led the people of Israel out of Egypt. We're going to start in verse 7. Here we go. It said, it was Moses' practice to take the tent of meeting, and I'm going to read through this, highlight some stuff, and then we'll go back to it. To take the tent of meeting and set it up some distance from the camp. The tent of meeting was exactly what it sounds like. It was a tent. It wasn't a mint. It was a tent where he would meet with God. He would go and hang out. It says he would set it up some distance from the camp, and everyone who wanted to make a request of the Lord would go to the tent of meeting outside the camp. Whenever Moses went out to the tent of meeting, all the people would get up and stand in the entrance of their own tents. They would all watch Moses until he disappeared inside. As he went into the tent, there was this big giant cloud that was with the people all the time. It was God's presence represented as a cloud. At nighttime, it was a giant cloud of fire. And so that's how they knew God was always with them. And when when Moses would go into this tent, the cloud would come and stand over this tent. And the people were like, that's cool. It said it would hover at its entrance while the Lord spoke with Moses. And when the people saw the cloud standing at the entrance of the tent, they would stand and bow down in front of their own tents. Inside the tent of meeting, the Lord would speak to Moses face to face as if one speaks to a friend. Afterward, Moses would return to camp, but the young man who assisted him, Joshua, son of Nun, would remain behind in the tent of meeting. It doesn't mean he didn't have parents. His last name was Nun. Just kidding. His dad's name was Nun. One day, Moses said to the Lord, you've been telling me, take these people up to the promised land. Let me tell you, when you meet with God, he will give you your purpose. You will find your purpose in life by spending time hanging out with God. You won't find it by Googling what's the best career for me. You won't find it by asking someone else, hey, what do you think I should do with my life? You will find the purpose for your life by saying, Jesus, what did you plan for me when you thought of me? And he will begin to show you, little by little, who and what he made you to be and do. Then God said this, I know you by name. God knows you by name. He knows your name. He hasn't forgotten you. He's not sitting there going, oh, yeah, I know you, you, and you. What's your name again? I forgot. No. God knows you by name, and he likes you. He said, I look favorably on you. And Moses said, if it's true that you look favorably on me, let me know your ways so I may understand you more fully and continue to enjoy your favor. So Moses would go into this tent and he would meet with God. He would talk with God. He would hang out with God. And it says they would talk like friends. So here's what I want you to know. That talking with God is just like talking with a friend. You just can't see him. So imagine that your friend is on the other side of a door and you cannot see them, but you know they're there. And so you still talk to them in the same way you would because you know the friend is there, you just can't. Let's try it again. You know your friend is there, you just can't. It's the same way with God. You know he's there, you just can't. And so you talk to him like you would a friend. So we're going to walk through this. Now, when you're writing a journalistic story, I know I'm going to school here. What are the questions you need to answer? Who, what, where, when, why, and how. Oh, my goodness. Thank you. We're going to look at this real quick. Who? You have three types of people. Let's go to verse 10. Verse 10. You have three types of people. It says, when the people saw the cloud standing at the entrance of the tent, they would stand and bow down in front of their own tents. You have the people who know about God. They go to church too, but they're not doing anything to go hang out with God on their own. They're just like, oh, that's cool that Moses does that. That's cool. That's cool. Oh, man, look, Moses, God's presence is there. That's really cool. But they don't do it themselves. Then you have Moses. Go to the next verse. It says, inside the tent of meeting, the Lord would speak to Moses face to face. Moses had gotten used to talking with God to the point where he would talk to him like friends. Let me tell you this. Moses didn't always talk to God this way. How many of you guys know the first time Moses encountered God and talked with him, what was going on? Anybody know? Dawson? There was a burning bush. And Moses was like, what in the world is that? And God was like, hey, Moses. And he was like, oh, snap. It's talking. And God was like, hey, take your shoes off. This is holy ground. He's like, what? What's going on? Are we like in a Japanese home? What's happening? And then he goes over here. And God's like, let me tell you who I am. And all of a sudden, Moses started to get to know God. And he went years, and he got to a point where Moses would talk with God like they were friends. And you can too. And then you had another guy. I like this guy. Maybe it's because we have the same name. Afterward, Moses would return to the camp, but there was a young man who assisted him named Joshua, and he would remain behind in the tent of meeting. He would go with Moses. Moses would hang out with God, and Joshua would all right, Moses, you go on. I'm going to stay right here. Because I want what you have, and so I need to do what you do, and in order to get what you have, I'm going to sit right here and see what happens when God shows up. Oh, what does it feel like when God's presence is here? I'm going to stay right here. Let me tell you, you need to start finding some spiritual leaders, some spiritual mentors in your life and asking them, so what do you do to get close to God? What do you do? Don't wait for them to come to you. Nobody notices me. Nobody asks me to go to lunch, and I see all these people going to lunch. No. Joshua did not wait for Moses to invite him. Joshua didn't say, hey man, can I chill here? No, he just stayed. Ask somebody, what do you do? Hey, can we go to coffee sometime? I guarantee you, not one of these leaders in here is going to be like, nah. You're not worth my time. You know how I know? Because they're here. And they're making time right now. Some of them are paying babysitters. Some of them are taking up their school time and study time. Some of them are doing so many, they could be sleeping right now. But no, they said, I want to invest in these guys. And so they are here. Find somebody and say, hey, will you just show me how to do this thing? So there's three people, the people that do nothing and they just watch. Moses, who's been in it a while, and he knows how to talk to God as a friend, and Joshua, who's learning. Which one are you? And is it time to upgrade? Which one are you? Is it time to upgrade? That's the who. We have the what. Moses is meeting with God one-on-one. Notice, Moses isn't like, hey guys, we're all going to go to the tent of meeting. You want to go? Let's go, guys. And they're sitting there, and it's like, hey, God, what's up? No. Moses is like, listen. There's a time when we all get together, and there's a time when it's just me and God. It's me and God time. It's me and God time. We're just going to talk. We're going to talk. But do you know what was the most important thing about that was when that cloud showed up? Why? Because it represented the presence of God. Not presents like gifts, like God himself showing up. And when God shows up with you one-on-one, which he wants to, things start changing. That anxiety stuff starts to go because, wait a minute, God is real. He's actually looking out for me. He actually loves me. He's actually willing to show up. But let me tell you something. Sometimes you're going to show up and you don't feel anything. Sometimes you're going to show up one-on-one with God and you'll be like, did you come? And I'm going to guarantee you this. If you came, he came. If you showed up, he showed up. Maturity is found in a quiet place. When you come up here for worship and it's all good and it's like, oh, I can feel God. That's easy. But when you show up one-on-one with God, you're like, I don't feel anything, but I know you're here and I still love you. That's when maturity starts to happen. God, I'm going through a hard time right now, and I don't feel like you're helping me out. I don't feel like you're getting me through this. I don't feel like you're working this out. But I know you're still here, and I know you still love me, and I'm going to still trust you. That's when maturity starts to work. That's deep, deep following Jesus. He would show up. And God's presence would show up. You know what is one of the best ways for God's presence to show up? Worship. Worship. Throw some music on. Not Beyonce. You throw some music on. And Jesus. Just me and you right here. There's no band. There's nobody around here. There's nobody to cry with. It's just me and you. We're just Jesus. And you worship. And all of a sudden he's like, oh yeah, I'm coming to that. Let's do this. So what was it? Moses was meeting with God one-on-one. Why? To talk with God. Moses starts talking with God. He says, God, you're always telling me to take these people into the promised land. You're always telling me my purpose, but there's some details that you're leaving out, and I need to know what they are. Anybody ever feel like God leaves out details? He always leaves out details. Man, do you know why? Because we as people, we want a formula. And what we want to do is we want God to tell us everything that's going on and will ever go on in our life. And we go, thanks, God, see you later. And we just run on. And God's like, that's not what I'm about. I'm about you and me getting to know each other. So if I withhold a little bit, who do you have to go see to find out the next step? You got to go to God. God's not stupid. He's like, if I give it all to them, they'll mess it up. But if I make them have to come and see me a little bit and a little bit more and a little bit more, you know what happens? It goes from you just running ahead of God to all of a sudden you and God are walking in a journey through your life together. And that's how He always intended it to be. It's a relationship. Verse 13, it says, I love this. He says, God, if it's true that you look favorably on me, let me know your ways so I may understand you more fully and continue to enjoy your favor. There's some things you need to know from this verse. Number one, favor comes from friendship. Favor comes from friendship. Favor comes from relationship. I will give my kids things that I will not give other people's kids. I will knock other people's kids down so that my kids can have. I'm just kidding. Why am I? Favor. The ability for God to go, I'm going to take you to the front of the line. Disney Fast Pass right here. Here we go. Bam. What? Favor comes from friendship with God. Why did Moses go? It says right here, he said, let me know your ways. Teach me how you do things. Teach me about you. Teach me about you, God. I don't want to just know about me. I want to know about you. I want to have a relationship with you so I may understand you more fully and continue to enjoy your favor. When you understand how God operates, life becomes a lot less frustrating. God's telling you, hey, listen, I know you're just in middle school. I know you're just in high school. I know you're just about to graduate. But what Moses had, you can have. Come hang out with me, and you can know me more fully, and we can have relationship, and with that comes favor. Where did Moses do this? He did it away from the camp. Moses set up the tent of meeting away from the camp. Why? How many of you guys think the camp was noisy? There's over 1 million people in this camp. I don't know if you've ever gone camping, but I guarantee you there wasn't 1 million people there. That's like going to downtown LA and like setting up camp. You're like, hey, here we go. He set it up outside the camp. Why? He wanted to get rid of distractions. He wanted this to be a special place with God. And he would take us, he'd go away from the camp, away from the distractions. This helped him stay above the normal. Now here's what you have to understand. If you keep your life in what is normal, in what is average, your perspective will always be skewed by what is average. Because God is not average. And so when God looks at things that are going on in your life, his perspective is here. So he's looking at things differently. And when we come up here with God, we get the same view that he has on life. So when you're struggling, instead of staying down here and I'm just going to go through this thing by myself and I guess God's not here for me and I'm not going to go to 418 because life is hard right now and people don't understand me and I'm just going to stay right here. We see things from an average perspective. But when we say, God, I'm going to put you first and I'm going to spend time with you and I'm going to make sure I come up to where you are, we start to see our life from his perspective. And it changes the way you approach life. So here's the final one. Sorry, it's not. It's almost. When? It said it was his practice, meaning he did it frequently, meaning he wasn't just like, hey, I'm going to go spend time with God this month and next month, we'll see. Daily, as often as you can, he spent time with God. Now, here's the how. I'm going to show you this real quick. This is how Pastor Josh spends time with God. Well, first, I wake up. I try to do it like 4 a.m. You don't got to do this. JL wakes me up. I try to go back to sleep, but I can't. My alarm wakes me up like 3 times. Anybody else? Anybody else? Snooze? Okay. So I wake up, and I'm yawning, and I don't stay in my bed because I need to set up my camp, my meeting place, a distance. Because you know why? Because if I stay in my bed, I'm going to fall back to sleep. Sometimes I do when I'm praying anyway, but that's besides the point. So I go downstairs to the living room, and then I put on some worship music first thing. First thing, I put on some worship music because I want the presence of God to show up. So I'm just sitting there, and I'm just talking to God. God, I love you. And I'm yawning. And sometimes I'll kneel down. I'm like, God, you're so good. And like 15 minutes will pass, and I'm like, oh, snap, I should get up. Just wake up. I just start talking to God. God, you're so good, and I love you. I worship you. I thank you that you have great things planned for me. I just start worshiping God, and all of a sudden his presence shows up, and sometimes it's just me and God, and I'll just start laughing because I can feel his presence close, and it's just so nice and so good. I'm just talking to him. Talk to him about my family and what's going on with my family, and Lord, what do you say? What do you want to do in my family? Would you bless my kids? Would you bless my wife? Pray for Pastors Tom and Linda. I pray for Pastors Heath and Tamara. I pray for the church. I pray for you guys. Just talking to God. I'm just asking God to bless you and bless my family. I'm just talking. Worship music is going on. I can feel him close. I'm talking to him. Just talking. Just talking. No, I can't see him. He's on the other side of the door. I know he's out just talking to him because he's real. He's real. I'm going, and then I'll go and get my Bible, and I get a journal. And the reason why you get a journal because of expectation. Grabbing a journal means that you are expecting God to talk to you. And so I want to write down what he says because I don't want to forget. And so I go and I'll sit down on the couch. Sometimes I grab a blanket if it's cold. And I'll just start reading. I'll start reading in my Bible, wherever I've been reading. Like right now I'm reading in the book of Ephesians. So I'm reading it, and I'll underline stuff and highlight it in my Bible. Oh, that's really good. Maybe I'll write it down in my Bible. Maybe I'll write it down on my phone, maybe on a notepad, my journal, whatever it is. And then I try to have this moment. I go, okay, God, I'm just going to listen. I'm just going to listen. What do you have to say? And let me tell you, it is hard to just listen. And I listen, and I go, what are you saying? What are you saying to me right now? And I get myself in a position, in a place where I can just receive from God. And you know how we always tell you, just put your hands out, put your hands out. I do this at home by myself. I just put my hands out and say, okay, God, what do you want to say to me? And I let my mind just relax. I let my heart relax. I'm not stressed out. God's got to say something. I'm not stressed out. Just, Lord, what do you want to say? And then he says it. Maybe it's something really cool. I'm like, wow, I'll write it down. Maybe it's not like that amazing. Maybe he said it before. You know what God says to me all the time? I'm with you. All the time. At one time, I said, God, you tell me that all the time. Can you tell me something else kind of more cool? And then I heard a preacher. He said, every time God said, I am with you, it was because he was taking them into something where they were going to need God to be with them. And from then on, I never told God, don't ever tell me that again. I said, I need you to tell me that every single day. Tell me you're with me. I said, it really is that easy. It really is just you learning. And will you feel weird to start off with? Yes, you will. Because everybody tells you that if you're talking to nobody, you're crazy, but you're talking to somebody. And that's how. That's how you spend time with God. It's easy. And he shows up, and guess what? The more you do it, the better you get at it. And you go from being those people that just watched to being Joshua, who was understanding what it meant to know God, to being Moses. And you talk to God like a friend. I'm not saying I'm on Moses' level yet, but I will say this, that I talk with God throughout the day all the time. Do you know why? Because not only do I have my living room set apart, I have my life set apart. So God is within me, and I have my life. I live differently than other people so that I can walk around just knowing that God is with me, and I can meet with God at any moment, at any time, any day.